Welcome to the session of Management Principles and Applications, and today is the second session of Strategies. So, modes of strategic management. Modes of strategic management are the actual kind of approaches taken by managers in formulating and implementing strategies. They address the issues of who has the major influence in the strategic management process and how the process is carried out. Research indicates that managers tend to use one of the three major approaches, or also known as modes of strategic management. So, these are the approaches that are taken by the managers in formulating and implementing strategies. The first is entrepreneurial mode, second is adaptive mode, and third is planning mode. Entrepreneurial mode. So, entrepreneurial mode is an approach in which strategy is formulated mainly by a strong visionary chief executive who actively searches for new opportunities, is heavily oriented towards growth, and is willing to make bold strategies rapidly. Who comes to our mind when we talk about this in Indian scenario? Dhirubhai Ambani. So he was such an entrepreneur that his strong vision actually lead Reliance India Limited to the pinnacle of success. The entrepreneurial searches for new mode are most likely to be found in organizations that are young or small, have a strong leader, or are in such serious trouble that bold are their only hope. Not surprisingly, in the entrepreneurial mode, the extent to which the strategic management process encourages innovation depends largely on the orientation of top leaders. Their personalities, power, and information enable them to overcome obstacles and push for change. Conversely, strong leaders are also in a position to thread innovative activities should they be so inclined. So, strong leaders, what they can do, they can thread the innovative activities as well. So, it is a good thing as well as a bit of a limitation. So it depends on the leader of the organization. If he's an entrepreneur, then the strategies would be more of an entrepreneurial mode. Adaptive mode. Adaptive mode is an approach to strategy formulation that emphasizes taking small incremental steps, reacting to problems rather than seeking opportunities, and attempting to satisfy a number of organizational power groups. So, the adaptive mode is most likely to be used by managers in established organizations that face a rapidly changing environment and yet have several coalitions or power blocks that make it difficult to obtain agreement on clear strategic goals and associated long term plans. So, an adaptive mode was adopted by whom? Mukesh Ambani. So the company was there. He can be taken as entrepreneur if we see that the Reliance India Limited was bifurcated between the two brothers. But when he took up, so it was the company which had a vision of his father. So it can be an adaptive mode. Another example is that London based Grand Metropolitan PLC purchased Pillsbury, including the Burger King chain. The chain was plagued by constant turnover, marketing problems, inconsistent services, and angry franchises who frequently told Pillsbury what to do. Grand Metropolitan is now working to put the chain back on track through a strategy that emphasizes doing whatever it takes to create a positive, memorable experience. Concrete measures include increasing the number of field representatives who visit Burger King stores, highlighting cleanliness, and rewarding employees who take the initiative in improving service by doing things differently. Also, a good example can be Bajaj bikes or Bajaj scooters. So they also are trying to gain the market in an adaptive mode. Planning mode. Planning mode is an approach to strategy formulation that involves systematic comprehensive analysis along with the integration of various decisions and strategies. With the planning mode, executives often utilize planning specialists to help with the strategic management process. The ultimate aim of planning mode is to understand the environment well enough to influence it. The planning mode is most likely to be used in large organizations that have enough resources to conduct comprehensive analysis, have an internal situation in which agreement is possible on major goals, and face an environment that has enough stability to enable the formulation and implementation of carefully conceived strategies. Now, for example, Disney's plans include entry into the convention hotel business, which is Dolphin Hotels, operated by Sheraton Corporations, and Swan Hotel, run by the Westin Hotel Company. Combined, the two hotels offer 2350 rooms and more than 2 lakh square feet of convention space inside Disney World. The hotels were heavily booked well in advance of their opening in 1990. So this was a planning mode. The strategies were planned, and there was a comprehensive analysis, and then they came up with the strategies to enter, in the business where they can run the business together. Now, types of corporate level strategies. There are certain types of corporate level strategies: stability strategies, expansion strategies, retrenchment strategies, combination strategies, merger strategies, restructure strategies, growth strategies, and diversification strategies. Stability strategies. An organization adopts the stability strategy when it aims at an incremental improvement of its functional performance, but marginal changes to one or more of its business in terms of their respective customer groups, customer functions, or alternative technologies are required. Its focus is confined to improving functional efficiencies in an increment way through better deployment and utilization of resources. So, stability strategy when incremental improvement is required. The stability strategy does not mean an absence of concern about business growth and improvement in profit. Firms adopting the stability route do seek and plan for business growth and profit improvement with modest targets. So they are not very aggressive. They believe in stability. So stability strategy is effective when the firm is doing well and the environment is relatively stable. Stability strategy does not involve a redefinition of the business of a corporation. Since products, markets, and functions remain the same, the business definition also does not change. So, stability strategy means you'll do what you are doing and you're doing it good, and hence you are getting profits. So, you're not entering in new markets, you're not introducing new products, you're just being stable. Expansion strategy. So, this strategy involves redefining the business, unlike stability strategy, by either adding to the scope of activity or substantially increasing the efforts of present business. When expansion strategy is pursued, it could lead to addition of new products or new markets or new functions. Even without a change in business definition, many firms undertake major increases in the pace of activities. Expansion strategy is often considered as entrepreneurial strategy, where firms develop and introduce new products and markets or penetrate markets to build share. Expansion is usually thought as the way to improve performance. So, strategists need to distinguish between desirable and undesirable expansion. What is desirable expansion? Which would lead to increased profits, and undesirable expansion, which may lead to more liabilities for you. Retrenchment strategy. When would you retrench? Retrenchment strategy may require a firm to redefine its business and may involve divestment of major product line or a strategic business unit, abandon some markets, or reduce its function. Retrenchment in pace may necessitate a firm to use layoffs, reduce R&D or marketing or other outlets, increase the collection of receivables, etc. So many times in the tough environment, you may have to retrench. So recently, Starbucks thought of closing its outlets and introducing more smaller outlets of mobile deliveries, mobile orders and deliveries. So that is kind of retrenchment strategy. The efforts aimed at redefining the business and reducing the pace of activities can improve performance of a firm. Retrenchment in combination with expansion is not uncommon. So you will retrench in one field and you would put your investment in something which is of more promising nature. Retrenchment strategy involves a partial or total withdrawal either from products, markets, or function in one or more of firm's business. Retrenchment strategy is generally followed during the period of decline of a business when it is thought possible to bring profitability back to the firm. If the prospects of restoring profitability are not good, abandoning market share, reducing expenses and assets can use controlled divestment. Combination strategy. When an organization adopts a mix of stability, expansion, retrenchment, or either simultaneously or sequentially for the purpose of improving its performance. So it is a mix of stability, expansion, retrenchment. It is said to follow the combination generic strategy. With the combination strategies, the strategists consciously apply several strategies to different parts of the firm. And what can be the reasons for combination strategies? One, when the organization is large and faces a fast changing complex environment. So, shutting down some units and introducing other ones which are more promising. So, these are a combination of strategies. The company's products are in different stages of life cycle. So, one is in growth stage, one has had its life, so it is fading. So, it is better to discontinue that product and put your resources in the new ones. A combination strategy is suitable for a multiple industry firm at the time of recession. So when there is recession, then you can use a combination of strategies to find out which product line works for you the best. The combination strategy is best for firms, divisions of which perform unevenly or do not have the same future potential. So again, if some product has a future potential, then you should go in and invest in more. And if you see that no, the future for this or the demand of it is going to decrease, then you should retrench. Merger strategy. What is a merger? It is combining two firms, leaving one surviving firm. An acquisition, on the other hand, describes the purpose of one firm by another. So there are various types of mergers like vertical mergers, horizontal mergers, and conglomerates. What are vertical mergers? When if integrating firms belong to the neighboring stages of production. Like I told you, a car manufacturing company enters into tires business or rubber business or maybe aluminium or oil business. So also something like winemaker purchasing a bottle or cork factory. A horizontal merger describes the case where firms who are involved in the same business line. So maybe Starbucks buying another small coffee company. And then the third category of mergers is called conglomerates, where the combining firms, they are unrelated or they have unrelated lines of business. So a company can go in for mergers, acquisitions, which can be a good strategy, growth strategy for a firm. Restructure strategy. What is restructuring? It involves expansion or contraction of the portfolio or changes in the ownership pattern. Now, restructuring not only is including the growth and expansion of business, actually, it is restructuring within the organization in the ownership pattern. In case of real estate business, profit is earned by buying properties at a lesser prices, restructuring them and selling at them at higher prices. This restructuring approach usually entails buying the firm, selling its corporate headquarters and terminating corporate staff members. So that is also a kind of restructuring strategy one a company can get into. Restructuring normally not required only when a business is sick, rather than it is required for improving the performance of the units. Restructuring is important for growth and expansion of the companies, and it is necessary to prevent a unit from becoming sick. Selling unhealthy business divisions and placing the remaining divisions under the right track of careful financial control is an additional restructuring that is often used. So you restructure the organization of the company so that it can work more efficiently. Growth strategies. Most of the directional strategies of an organization are aimed to achieve growth. Usually, the growth may be measured in terms of sales, profits, product mix, service mix, market coverage, market share, and other accounting and market based variables. Reducing cost of products sold is also a growth variable because it increases sales and profits. Liberalization, globalization, and privatization force companies to reduce manufacturing cost and produce quality products, and hence these growth strategies are to be used by the organization. Diversification strategy. So there are good number of companies which are running profitably by concentrating on a single business. Xerox, Ford Motors, Apple Computers, McDonald's. These are few examples of single business companies doing very well. But by concentrating and sticking to one industry, investing huge amount in one industry is a risk. It is just like putting all the eggs in one basket. So Pepsi Foods Limited, when it came, it ventured into the snack market also, as well as the cold drinks market. So it was diversifying its risk. If anything happens to the basket, all eggs are going to be broken. So to avoid this situation, managers have to diversify into other businesses which have potential for growth. So diversification is a form of growth strategy. Defensive strategies. Now, what are these defensive strategies? Once you are in business, you have to attain some strategies to protect yourself. The first is divestiture. A divestiture strategy is pursued when a company sells or divests itself of a business or a part of business. It may be because of loss, less than target rate of return, urgency to mobilize funds, managerial problems, or redefinition of business of the company. Then the second is liquidation. Liquidation occurs when an entire company is sold or dissolved. The reasons for divestiture mentioned above could also be the reasons of liquidation. When there are no buyers for the company that wants to be sold, its assets may be sold and company may be wound up. Becoming a captive. What is a captive? A firm is a captive of another firm when it subjects itself to the decision of the other firm in return for a guarantee that a certain amount of the captive's product will be purchased by the other firm. So they do not take their own decisions and they give it to them. Okay, fine, we are making this, you buy from us at whatever price, or but just keep us profitable. So this is under pressures of cost and profitability that firms take this decision of being a captive. Turnaround strategy. A turnaround strategy involves management measures designed to reverse certain negative trends and to bring the firm back to normal health and profitability. So, in fact, the turnaround strategies could be kind of these divestiture strategies, or the previous strategy combination strategies we have found out. So, all these strategies are not a watertight compartment. So these strategies are intermingled and one can appear in the other also. So these are all the strategies which a firm can take or assume. Importance of strategic planning. The first is the financial benefits. Firms that make strategic plans have good sales, low costs, high earnings per share, and high profits. Firms have financial benefits if they make strategic plans. Companies like Reliance, Infosys, Tata, Wipro, Deloitte, these are the giants who reported good financial results as a result of sound strategic planning. So you always have financial benefits attached with a good strategic planning. Then it guides the organizational activities. Once you have your strategic plans in place, everybody knows what they have to do. So strategic plans guide members towards organizational goals. It unifies organizational activities and efforts towards the long-term goals. It guides members to become what they want to become and do what they want to do. It focuses on specific goals, making it clear for members to know the direction towards which they have to move. Earning profit is less meaningful than earning a growth rate of 10% per year. So paying high dividends is less meaningful than paying dividends at the rate of 40%. Meeting society's need is less meaningful than providing free education to school children. Allocation of resources and attempts to meet the goal is facilitated through clear specifications in strategic planning. So you should have a clear strategic planning. It makes the objectives operational and provides right direction to organizational activities. Then you have a competitive advantage if you have a good strategic planning. In the world of globalization, firms which have competitive advantage have better sales and financial performance. This is possible if they foresee the future. Future can be predicted through strategic planning. It enables managers to anticipate problems before they arise and solve them before they become wars. Minimize risk. Strategic planning provides information to assess risk and frame strategies to minimize risk and invest in safe business opportunities. Chances of making mistakes and choosing wrong objectives and strategies thus get reduced. Now, risk is inherent in every business, and failure to anticipate risk through strategic planning is almost sure to lead to the business failure, unless otherwise proved by the chance. Lack of strategy, framing wrong strategies, or ineffective implementation of strategy cannot be afforded by business enterprise operating in dynamic, changing, and risky environment. So, with the good strategic planning, your risks are also minimized because you are taking care of all the risks and returns into account. Then, beneficial for companies with long gestation period. The time gap between investment decisions and income generation from those investments is called gestation period. During this period, changes in technological or political forces can affect implementation of decisions, and plans may therefore fail. Strategic planning discounts future and enables managers to face the threats and opportunities. Huge capital investments in projects is followed by expected financial returns. So if the company has got long gestation period, so these strategic plans are going to help it to be on the track. Also, the good strategic planning is going to promote motivation and innovation in the employees. So once they know what they have to do, they would be motivated to find out new ideas and to implement them, so as to be persuasive of the strategic planning. Strategic planning involves managers at top levels. They are not only committed to objectives and strategies but also think of new ideas for implementation of strategies. This promotes motivation and innovation. It also provides motivation to people at lower levels when they know their efforts are contributing towards organizational goals. So, satisfied workforce is the strength of the organization. It saves huge costs on reducing absenteeism, labor turnover, role conflicts, etc. It promotes discipline in the organization and enhances human resource effectiveness and also organizational effectiveness. Optimum utilization of resources. So, strategic planning makes best use of resources to achieve maximum output. Resources are scarce, and strategic planning helps in their use in the areas wherever they are required most. So, business is like a war in one respect. If it's a grand strategy is correct, any number of tactical errors can be made and yet the enterprise proves successful. So, a bigger strategic planning is correct, then small mistakes or problems can be ignored. Effective allocation of resources, scientific thinking, effective organization structure, coordination and integration of functional activities, and effective system of control These all things contribute to the successful strategic planning and hence the optimum utilization of resources. So, what are the limitations of strategic planning? The first is lack of knowledge. So, strategic planning requires lot of knowledge, training, and experience. If the managers they do not have those required skills, then the entire strategic planning fails. So, managers should have high conceptual skills and abilities to make strategic plans. If they do not have the knowledge and skill to prepare strategic plans, the desired results will not be achieved. It will also result in huge financial losses for the organization. This limitation can be overcome by training the managers to make the strategic plans. Then the second is interdependence of units. So all the units at different levels like corporate, business and functional level, they are all coordinated. It can create problems for effective implementation of strategic plan if they are not coordinated. So coordination is the key to strategic planning. All the levels have to be adequately coordinated in order to achieve the organization's objectives through strategic planning. Managerial perception. So, in order to avoid developing risky objectives and strategies which they will not be able to achieve, managers may land up framing suboptimal goals and plans. So, if let us say the managers performance is attached with their the outcomes of the company, what will happen? So they would be very careful about setting up the goals, and they may not be optimizing their all resources, and they might choose suboptimal goals. So sometimes short term commitments also defer making long term strategies. So managerial perception, they have to look forward, they have to be an optimal risk taker to give you required return. And then the financial considerations, because strategic planning is such a huge process, it is cumbersome, and hence it involves time, money and energy. So managers may be constrained by these considerations in making effective strategic plans. These limitations are by and large conceptual and can overcome through rational, systematic and scientific planning. Researchers have proved that companies which make strategic plans outperform those which do not do so. So all these limitations does not underestimate the strategic planning. We should do strategic planning because this is rational, systematic and scientific way of getting to your objectives. Thank you so much. We'll come up with another session tomorrow.